All right, good evening, everyone. This is Pep Man Matt Morrow. Welcome to another edition of Football Focus Weekly, courtesy of Charlotte Football Insiders. Tonight is our I-Meck Focus show, and we're going to be leading off the show here in just a minute with our I-Meck predictions and our I-Meck players to watch. So that's going to be something that, I think a lot of people are interested in hearing about. 8 o'clock, we're going to talk to Mallard Creek head football coach Kenny Tinsley in his first season leading the Mavericks, coming down from the Greensboro area. At 8:30, we'll be talking to Montaze McRae, Johnson C. Smith, assistant coach, offensive line, and one of their lead recruiters. Excited to talk with him, a local college coach here that's recruited some of our guys here in the Charlotte metro area. We'll talk a little bit about practice protocols and game protocols in COVID-19 times. And then, of course, we'll finish the show up with the slime, and I've got a funny story to tell you about a big man snow tubing. You want to stick around because I've got a lot to say about that situation. And my buddy Otis Powell is excited to hear about the I-Meck. So we're going to roll the intro, and then we're going to get right into it. So thanks for being on time. Here we go. Wayne King on South Tryon Street is number one. And I'm going to tell you why. Pep Man's Fried Chicken Rankings. And we're going to do 4 restaurants. I see Fred is laughing in the background.
My sound off is actually about, I'm going back to the Panther fans. And you know why?
Queen of CFI, sound off.
So much disrespect with mighty Coach Bills, and I'm here to sign off that.
I can tell you how the Panther season gonna be.
Oh, I've got a rule in life, man. There are a couple rules I live by in life. One rule is never pass by Bojangles without stopping. A second rule of life is get play sauce, it'll save your life. Third rule of life, don't trust white girls. The number one most annoying group of people. People who don't put their buggies back in their little buggy aisles at the grocery store.
Touchdown, Mexico Falcons!
Where did I agree to get 211 text messages a day about the election? What did I agree to get calls every 7 seconds?
I'm going to sound off on myself. All my teams stink. Oh my God, we have the caption Cowboy Joe on there now. Good grief.
Charlotte Football Insider Football Focus Weekly. All right, we've got a big crowd on tonight. I'm very excited. The I-Meck King himself, Kyle Smith, I-Meck in the building. That is right. The I-Meck is the last conference we are featuring on our conference previews that has felt like we've been going on for so long this off season. My goodness. I can tell you now, next week's show is going to look a lot different. I'm very excited to, kind of debut that and kind of talk about that toward the end of the show. But right now, it is I-Meck time. And as you can see, it's just me. The crew has a lot going on tonight, and they're gonna be here. They're gonna be here. We got a lot of little issues going on, but it's okay because we're gonna be strong, and I'm gonna stand up, and I'm gonna be the leader that everyone needs. CFI to be right now, just by myself. So, all right, guys, here we go. All right, let's get it up on the screen. All right, so there it is. I-Meck prediction. My prediction is just me. So, if you don't like it, I'm right here. Comments are right there. I'll put them on the screen. All right, here we go. All right, so, of course, leading it off, I think Vance is number one in the conference still. They return a ton of talent. We're going to talk about some of the players that they have coming back here in just a minute, but just the overall package is just really strong. And, I've got them number one preseason in the I-Meck. Number 2, I have Mallard Creek. New head coach Kenny Tinsley. As I said earlier, he'll be on the show at 8 p.m. Very impressed in speaking with him. He's got a strong staff along with him, and I'll see some comments I'm going to get to in just a minute. And then they've got great kids, man. There's still, really good talent in that Mallard Creek program. And I think they retained, a good bit of talent, even with, the early graduation thing that hurt, some teams more than others. I think that continuity is going to help. Plus, they have a very strong JV team moving up, to the varsity. That also, helps this case right here. Number 3, I've got Huff. They got some really top talent in specific spots. We're going to talk about some of those players here in just a minute. But they had a lot of talent leave in the early graduation period that happened when, of course, we moved to the spring. Along with, Coach Baker taking the Cox Mill job from the offensive coordinator perspective. I think Coach Olson's going to do a good job, but of course, there's always a little bit of transition there. But I'll tell you, here's the funny thing about this. So Vance finished 3rd last year in this conference. They won the state title. So me predicting Huff 3rd, that tells you the strength of this league right here. It's just, incredible depth. All right. Number 4, I've got Lake Norman. They've got a very strong senior class. I remember visiting Lake Norman a couple years ago and speaking with Coach Oliphant and those guys. And Coach Oliphant was very excited about this class right here. This is their time. And I mean when I say this, they'll push for a top 2 spot. They are really, really strong. They got I'll get to their players here in just a minute, but that is a strong squad, and they run an offense that, is tough to prepare for in a short week. And they're going to be a really, really tough out here in this conference. Mooresville, I'll tell you, this is a classic team that you don't want to play. They're well coached with Coach Nixon and his guys. They've got good talent in positions. They demonstrated last year when they played Vance at UNC Charlotte. They took them to overtime and, saw what happened with Vance winning the state title. So it's the kind of team that can beat anyone on any given night. Once again, and this is a team that can push for the top, spots in the conference right here. So those top 5, man, I mean, I put those against anybody in the state, to be honest with you. That's why the I-Meck is, just the best conference, in North Carolina, hands down. Number 6. So my thoughts on this, and maybe I'm a little biased, but Sam Griner, I'll tell you, is a hell of a football coach. Man, I'm telling you, he won the state title at Harding, of course, in 2017. But they're not as down as it appears. I think there's talent in that program that, some people may not, recognize. I'm going to get to some of those players here in a minute. But, I mean, Coach Griner, his schemes on offense and defense, physical offense, he's going to be an attacking guy on defense. And at West Charlotte, of course, we know has athletes, and they got some beef up front, and those are 2 things that, Sam knows how to use really well. And I think that's going to be good enough to win, some games in year 1 over there, even though the pandemic has kind of slowed, the way Sam may want to do things. But there's still going to be, a tough out. Hopewell, well-coached team. I love Coach Bird and his staff. I think they've done an excellent job doing things the right way over there. Trusting the process, is their mantra. And they won 4 games last year. They got the Shield back in the victory over North Meck. They're doing some great things over there. The only, thing is, you see some of these other schools with, a lot more kids out there, and you get down to the second half of those games and, you kind of get hurt with the numbers a little bit. But, I mean, I tell you, man, these guys, I love, the way that everything they've done with that program has, been done the right way. And they have to be commended for that. Absolutely. It's just a great job with those guys over there. And North Meck has some talent. I think they've been kind of the forgotten team. They kind of, struggled a little bit last year. Had an off season for them. They're not typically that kind of team. Of course, the I-Meck's a tough conference to rebuild in, but they've got some guys that can make some plays. And excuse me, we'll talk about some of those guys here in just a second. But all right, let's get to some of these comments because you guys are something else, man. All right, so Kyle says Lake Norman over Mooresville, we can't have that. So of course Kyle's a big Mooresville guy, and those two are big rivals. I will say that I expect that game to be one of the top games to watch this season. I think both of those teams are kind of in similar places, and a lot of big linemen, a lot of big linemen between those two teams right there. So I think that's going to be an awesome matchup to watch. Kyle also says, with no non-conference games, do you think the chances of upsets are more likely this year? Absolutely. I think, teams, and I'm going to say this, with the next comment coming up, but I think teams that have had the advantage of working out, such as a Lake Norman or a Mooresville, being able to be in the weight room and do things together for a longer period of time, gives them a big advantage. And if you get them in a week 1, week 2, week 3 matchup against somebody that's, supposed to be really good and maybe they're not as far along as they are, then, of course there's a chance. I think that's a good point right there. And then Mr. Kilborn right here, Lake Norman literally strong period, even in the weight room while CMS has it. Exactly. Now, those guys work up there. And every time I turn around, I see, something about those guys, lifting something or squatting something. And, that's, it's a really good point right there. All right, so those are the predictions. Let's get to the players. All right, here we go. All right, players to watch for the Vance Cougars. I tried to narrow it down to 6. But I tell you, there are so many guys that are talented on this team that are not on this screen. I tell you, I could probably take 15 minutes and talk about all the guys that they have over there, but let's focus on these right here. So quarterback Austin Greer, obviously leading the way, led the team to a state championship last season. Most impressed with him in the playoff game at Richmond County, the state semifinals. In that second half, man, he lit that team on fire. My goodness. What a player. Just the ability to get out of the pocket and scramble and keep plays alive. And, deliver the ball with pinpoint accuracy under pressure. Really good dual threat quarterback. Joseph Morris, steady player, man. He's also a game breaker. I remember in the playoffs against West Forsyth, he iced that game with a big touchdown run that sent all the guys home, all the West Forsyth fans home in the fourth quarter. He's not a real loud rah-rah guy, but I'm telling you, man, if there's a guy that, you need 2 yards and 3rd and 1, he's going to give it to you. Absolutely. DB Tyrion Porter, he's not the biggest guy, but he's always around the footballs, always making plays. I remember he had a nice play in the first round playoff game last year against Butler. I believe it was a strip fumble recovery that he caused. Heck of a player. Defensive end James Pierce. Another guy that's not a big social media guy, but he's a 6'5" guy that's about to really just come into his own this season. I know the advanced coaches are really high on him. Wide receiver Kevin Concepcion. I mean, all I can say is, Vance was down, last year in the playoffs, and it was literally like a 2nd and 30 something, and he, runs, a straight go route. Gets man coverage as a freshman and beats the DB for a touchdown that totally flipped the momentum, of that playoff game. So you're talking about someone that's ready for the spotlight and ready to make a name for himself. This is the man right here. And then Dalen Smothers, what a talent, man. My goodness. You see, I've watched him, both on the JV when he got in on the varsity level. He scored in the state championship game. Just incredible in space. His vision, his agility. He's going to be big time. I mean, just big time, D1 type talent at the running back position. So, Vance is just, absolutely loaded with those guys and many more that we could talk about if we had the time or the space on the slide. I see a couple more comments right there. Coach Akers, you got it right with the top spot. All right. Thank you, Coach. Mr. Law Spindle, the DB commit to North Carolina A&T. Yep, he's another one. He is absolutely another one that we could have put on there. There's some other guys, that definitely come to mind that we could, easily put on there. That's just a few. That's just a few right there. It's a ton of talent on that Advanced Cougar squad. Be excited to see it, once again in person this season. All right, let's go to Songa Yates. I see that. Yeah, we talked to him. We talked to him, and our player impact coach is committed to Lenore Ryan. So that's another good call right there. Thank you for that. All right, Mallard Creek Mavericks. Hey, we're talking about talent. They're not slacking on talent either. The quarterback Xavier Brower, we talked to him in the offseason, done a great job in getting ready to lead that program. He's been a JV quarterback last year, led them to an undefeated season. Left-handed quarterback, I think he delivers the football really well with pinpoint accuracy. He can run a little bit. He's got good arm strength. He looked really good in the camp circuit during the summer and the offseason, during the main camp season. Very excited to see him lead this program. And he's, he realizes the tradition of Mallard Creek, and I think he's going to do an excellent job. Athlete Bryce Dixon, I put athlete. He's a big guy, about 6'2", 260, but they can move him around. And oh my gosh, he is so quick for a guy his size. Been watching him at camps. During the offseason, he won one of our awards as one of the best defensive linemen at the Under the Lights camp. Just an incredible get off on the defensive line position. He could play tight end. He could play running back. He's picked up, several offers, and, he's a kid that, once again, not a big, social media guy, but he's going to get the job done wherever they put him on offense or defense. Just a really good player. Big, nasty offensive lineman, Bryce Boyd. I tell you, this guy, he sent me a message and he just told me, he said, Coach, I'm ready to hit. I want to hit somebody. And that's what you want from offensive lineman, man. 6'3", 300 pounds. He's going to anchor that, Mallard Creek offensive line, which has become a traditional strength, here in the Charlotte metro area. Defensive end Jonathan Slaughter can also play some outside linebacker. Really quick off the football. Won one of our awards at the Under the Lights camp for D-line. Great size, about 6'2", 220. I think he's going to do a great job this season. And 2 wide receivers from Mallard Creek that I like. The Montaze Furman, number 5, is going to be electric out of the slot. And then, of course, A.J. Davis Ingram, we interviewed a couple times this offseason, committed to Winston-Salem State. He can play inside or outside. It's a guy that if you need a 3rd and 11, he's going to run that, 15 to 12, come back and get you that first down. So, once again, another talented group right there. And as I said earlier, we're going to talk to Coach Tinsley at 8 o'clock. And I'm sure he'll talk about some of these guys and, even more for sure. All right, let's go to the next team right here. Huff Huskies. Oh, my gosh. So, as I said before, a lot of talent on this team. And there's some of the top-end talent right there. Quarterback Tad Hudson. We saw him in that second-round playoff game. They went down to Richmond County and had a shootout. After that game, he started picking up D1 offers like crazy. That was his first varsity game. Incredible talent, man. He's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in his class. Athlete J.T. Smith Jr. coming over from Providence Day. I can see him sliding into the Evan Pryor position in their offense, not only playing running back, but playing some slot receiver as well. Really athletic kid, I think, is going to really bust out on the scene this upcoming season. Defensive tackle Curtis Neal, as I said the other day, I remember the Huff coaches telling me as a freshman this guy was going to be dynamite. And he's been everything they said he was going to be. I mean, one of the best defensive tackles in the nation. Going to end up going big-time D1 once he's done, at the high school level. Dylan Brady looked really good in the camp season, 6'3", a little over about 220 pounds. Really athletic outside linebacker / DN. He's going to make some plays on the edge in that Huff defense. There's a lot of DBs at Huff that you can choose from, but defensive back Isaiah Brown-Murray has really shot up the charts as far as getting attention on the recruiting circuit, and then had a really great, camp season. He's got some D1 offers. He's the next one. He's the next one up, from Huff. And Coach Chachi up there, just the machine and producing all those guys. And then offensive lineman Tim Artis Jr. I had a great highlight of him at I believe it was Carolina Exposure Camp this summer, where he just stonewalled a guy and just shut him down. So and I see Mizzle, has got a couple comments right there. Tyler Hoff is another name. Yep, the receiver. I saw he just committed the other day. I don't remember the school offhand, but congratulations to that young man. Talk about speed. Yep, that's Tyler Hoff right there. So a lot of talent still at Huff. They're loaded, and as I said before, they were the number 3 predicted team here, and the number 3 predicted team last season, Vance, won the state title. So tough conference, man, but it makes you, really strong and ready to go come playoff time. All right, let's go to the next team, the Lake Norman Wildcats. All right, so we got, he talking about talent. These guys are, man, it was hard to get 6 from these guys because they've got a lot of returning guys. As I said, upper class is really strong here with Lake Norman. DB Krishan Shepard, seems like he's been an all-conference type of player, in his whole career at Lake Norman. He made an incredible catch in 7-on-7 this offseason. A beautiful one-hand catch in the corner of end zone. He might play a little offense for them. We don't know. He's definitely got the skills to do so. Defensive back Will Sauter, just a tackling machine, man. Really, really good player. Helps lead that defensive backfield for the Wildcats. 2 offensive linemen. We, shouted these guys out when we did the preseason all-conference team way back in the fall when we thought we'd have football. Offensive lineman Jake Johnson, 6'4", 285. I believe he's committed to Charleston Southern. And offensive lineman Peyton Davis, I think about 6'3", 300. He's had several offers. I've seen he had some preferred walk-on offers. So those 2 guys anchor a run-first team. Like I said, they run an offense that's hard to prepare for in a short period of time. And they believe in ball control and then, just controlling the clock, man, and just grind you down. It's a great offense for February. I'll tell you that much. Quarterback Anthony Lamone, as I, said before about him, it's hard to, manage all the handoffs and option plays and misdirection stuff that they do. And he can still throw the ball some. When I've seen his, highlight tape, he can put the ball on point where he needs to be. And, in that type of offense, you kind of get, a lot of one-on-one matchups. And he's able to put the ball in places where his receivers can go make plays. So, he does a good job for them. And then DB Will Kobucheski, I believe he's committed to Furman. Very, very good player, man. He's been a good player for a couple years. Comes from a good family. This team is, you cannot sleep on Lake Norman. You cannot sleep on him. I'm telling you. They've been working out. The comment I said earlier. They're a really strong, close-knit group, and they, really got really good coaches up there. Really good coaches that push them, and you gotta watch these guys. I'm telling you. Okay, let's go to Mooresville Blue Devils. All right, so these guys, you talking about good kids, man. They got a lot of good kids in this program, and that's and I'm not lying when I say that. Glenwood Robinson has been one of my favorite running backs the past couple of years. I just love the way he runs the football north and south. He's had really good vision in the run game. He's got good speed. He can break away when he gets through the hole. Athlete Ashton Edstrom, we saw him last year make that huge play against Vance, on the reverse, and took it the distance about 80-something yards. Gave them an early lead in that game. Really, really good speed. You can play him, just about anywhere from a skill position perspective. OLDL Zahir Barnes Vaughn, one of our best performers at the Under Lights camp. I think, college coaches, if you're still looking for a lineman, this is one of the good late gets that you can get in this process. As Mizzle literally just said, sleeper kid. College coaches should be all over this kid. He's reading my mind. Absolutely. Linebacker Caleb Tate, really good player, all conference, type of player. DB Elijah Wilson, one of the best DBs in the 2022 class. My goodness, just a lockdown corner. And the wide receiver Sarandon Brown, I think is a really good player that's starting to get some attention from college coaches. A really, really fast guy that can do some different things and kind of like the jet bubble, type of game. Another comment from Kyle. Fred Brown, yes, I was very impressed with him last year, especially in that advanced game. He is a very physical guy, gets off the football really well, for the Blue Devils. So once again, another talented team. You cannot sleep on those guys for sure. And then Mizzle, once again, Glenwood Robinson. Yeah, exactly. Totally agree with that. All right. West Charlotte Lions. So now, these guys, maybe some names that you do not know, but I'm telling you, these guys can play. Quarterback Joshua Mahafa. I remember as a freshman, we covered a game with him. I think it might have been his first start. They came over to Harding, and he ended up throwing 3 touchdown passes as a freshman in a game they had to come back to win. So, he's going to be a kid that, I'm excited to see get back onto the football field. Defensive back Tony Harris II, we interviewed him in the offseason. Really, really good player. I'm impressed with his knowledge and his coverage skills from the man end zone perspective. He's going to be a really good player. Not the biggest, but he's going to be where you need him to be every time. Chancellor Morrow, I know he plays basketball. 6'5" guy on the outside, was all conference last season. And Coach Grinder's offense have a lot of one-on-one opportunities to make plays. And, he's got to be licking his chops, for when he gets the football. A couple of big linemen, Demaji DeBose on the offensive and defensive line. I'll tell you, from a defensive perspective, he's going to be hard to move from that defensive tackle spot. Really strong at the point of attack, sheds blocks really well. Angelo McLaurin, 6'3", 340, your typical nose guard. Those are the kind of guys, Coach Grinder had success with at Harding, anchoring that defense, that ended up, doing so well. And then Antonio Smith, if you remember him from Garinger a couple years ago, where he was their best player, returning kicks, running the ball, playing quarterback, went to North Meck, last year. Now he's, over at West Charlotte. Really an athletic kid that can also play some defense too. I've heard that he's better on defense than he is on offense. He's pretty good on offense. So those are some guys right there for West Charlotte I think are going to star and do a really good job for that team, in Coach Grinder's first year. All right. Hopewell Titans. DJ Maltsby, quarterback over there. He's a really good dual threat guy. I'm really impressed with him with the football in his hands. He does some special things. He really does some special things with the football in his hands. And he's going to make that offense a lot more dynamic from that perspective. DB Fred Bates, he's our MVP at the Under the Lights camp, for the DBs on the second camp. Really physical player, great size, great ball skills. Really a leader for that team on that side of the ball. Jacob Polite, I'll tell you, the first time I really saw him, I think it was a scrimmage last year where Julian Gray didn't play, and he ended up being a featured guy. And all he did was just moss people the whole scrimmage. Really high points to football, real well, runs good routes. He's got, he's faster than you would think, because you think about a tall guy as not being fast, but he can run too. I believe he's committed to Wingate. So, Wingate had a really good recruiting class, by the way, but he's a really impressive player. Athlete Jabari Brown has literally made himself into a really good player. I think he had a tweet, a while back that showed his progression just from working in the weight room and everything. And, that's what I'm talking about with this team. All these guys have put in the work to become better. And, It's nothing that, it's no shortcuts. It's just hard work that makes you into, the players that these guys have become. Linebacker Arian Wharton, really good player. Really impressed. He's athletic for that position. I believe he's committed to Westminster College. Excited to see him and lead that defense. And then Stanley Reed came to the second under the lights camp. Looked really good moving, on the inside zone drills and, cat mouse drill 101 and then catching the ball at the backfield. Looks like he's going to be an all-purpose running back, for this team. And I'm excited to see, what they do with him moving forward offensively with DJ Maltsby. So, some good players, for Hopewell that have done things the right way. And, I know they're going to, really, do some good things individually this season. All right, we'll finish it up. North Meck Vikings, Mekhi Bailey. I tell you, I put athlete. I know he spent more of his time on the defensive side of football, but, really athletic, really good ball skills. He's not afraid to be physical on defense, coming up and supporting in the run game. Just overall a good player. Linebacker Clark Brown's an all-conference player last season. I believe he led the team in tackles. Good size, 6'2" kid. Going to do a good job for the Vikings once again. Offensive lineman Daniel Ohadi. I hope I said that right. I see a comment there. He's a good size kid. 6'3", 6'4", started picking up some offers, to play on the next level. Defensive lineman Torrance Woodard, a 3-star player. Another good sized kid. I'll tell you, they got some good size on that defensive side of football, for North Meck. Very physical at the point of attack. Jawan McRae is going to help them, on both sides of the football. I think more so on the defensive line and as far as, covering up for those guys to make plays at the second and third level. And then wide receiver Jelani Bittersing, a 6'3" kid that can make some plays on the outside. Catches the football well. Seeing on his highlights, he can high point the football well in the red zone also. I expect, some big things out of him as well. So if you joined the party late, I'll go back through the predictions once again while we wait on Coach Tinsley to join us. So let me go back to that and I'll, put that on the screen for you. Once again, we're predicting Vance to, win the conference. We got Mallard Creek second, Huff third, Lake Norman fourth, Mooresville fifth, West Charlotte sixth, Hopewell at seventh, and North Meck at 8. So, right now that's how we project things, in the I-Meck conference. And, I see a lot of comments on the side here, on a couple of things. I didn't mention any of my Under the Lights awards or winners for Vance. So loaded. All right. So Sean Walker won the fastest man competition we had at the Under the Lights camp. And, he's going to be a part of a great dynamic receiving core for the Cougars. Absolutely. I see another comment here from Kyle. Let's get to that. With all the coaching changes in the I-Meck this offseason, which one do you think will have the biggest surprise season in your eyes? Woo! That's a loaded question right there. All right, so let's hit the pause button on that question right there because that's going to take some time. And we'll have a little bit of time to address that. But right now, we're going to bring on the head coach for the Mallard Creek Mavericks. A lot of people were wanting Coach Tinsley. So he popped up, and now you're going to get him. All right, here we go. Coach, how you doing tonight?
What's up, Pat, man? How you doing, bud?
Man, I'm doing good. Doing good. How you doing?
Man, day by day, bro. Day by day. Doing good.
That shirt, Coach. I like that shirt. That's a new style for you guys?
No, man. This is actually a hand-me-down, man.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, this won't be new stuff. Maybe come in next week.
Okay. Good deal, man. Good deal. So let's start it off, man. You feel like you're settled in, now, being able to finally practice and, get into some kind of normal routine of coaching football?
No. good, man.
So what's
good,
been the most? What's been okay?
It's been good, man. I'm joking, man. I think probably every coach feels the way I feel right now. I mean, you're putting stuff together, and I think the CMS shutdown, man, makes it super challenging as far as trying to get guys ready to play in a couple of weeks, man. It's already a short camp, a short season, and not having that time with the guys on the field is definitely makes it tough. Fortunately, man, we got we got great kids and great parents, bro, that have kind of adapted to whatever we ask them to do and whatever we've needed, and they've been very supportive. And we got a really good coaching staff, man. I'm very fortunate to coach with a lot of good dudes that have been around a long time, and everybody's working well together to make the most out of what is, somewhat a tough ordeal that we're in.
Absolutely, man. So to your point, do you feel comfortable with where your team is right now from a practice standpoint? Having to play Vance next week?
Man, first, I think I'm very confident in our kids. Our kids are man, they work hard. They love ball, man. They love Mallard Creek. And I'm just fortunate to be a part of it, and I'll rock with them, whatever we got to do, man. I'll roll with them, man. I'm that confident in them, and I'm confident in our coaching staff. As far as is this ideal? It's not, man. It's not.
Right.
Just from a standpoint of safety, But like there's a lot of football coaches, and they don't coach at Mallard Creek. You know what I mean? So I'm dare not gonna sit here and complain or feel sorry for myself, man. We got a football game, and we're gonna get ready to play.
Absolutely. I like that perspective, man. So of course, you mentioned it, being so difficult with COVID right now. What is the most difficult thing about, the protocols and procedures you got to follow with COVID-19?
Shoot, man, I'm trying to answer this stuff right. I mean, Matt, it's you think about the culture of football, man. You know what I mean? You guys in order for a kid to get coached, we just talk about mental reps, man. And when kids are not in, those are your reps. And the expectation is they're right beside their coach. The expectation is that coach is coaching that position, that kid, and all of us are getting better at one time through one kid's rep. And now we're 6 feet apart, right? And so I'm got to be preaching 6 feet apart. These kids got to keep their mask on, with them. They got the mouthpiece, then a mask. And then if you got to talk, right, you got to put the mask down, take the mouthpiece out. And then what happens is you start skipping steps. You put your mouthpiece in and you go play. You forget to pull your mouthpiece out. Coach Tinsley has to do a better job of keeping his mask on during practice, because he wants to yell so that his voice projects across the field. And so I'll take my mask off. And then is that a good example? You know what I mean? It is very challenging. The other day, a few guys came and you can't use the locker room, right? So we were saying, hey, no locker room, but they need to finish getting dressed, and it's one thing to the next. We spend 15 minutes to 20 minutes checking guys in, taking temperatures, writing names down. I can go on for days about the challenges of this bad boy. It's unbelievable, but I mean, we dare not do it. We're fortunate to get a chance to play. COVID is a legit real thing where people are legitimately getting sick and some passing away. And we're responsible for trying to provide these kids a chance to play and keep them safe and their family safe. So we got to do it. And we got to do what we got to do.
Yeah, man. Like you said, the opportunity to do this, is better than the alternative of not doing it at all. So, that I can't imagine. You guys are better than me, because I'm telling you, that's a lot to deal with, and just trying to do the simple, basic things. Like you said, you got those moments where you got to get your team at attention, and you got to, try to do it with your mask on, and that's a lot. That's a lot, man. So first season here playing in the I-Meck, man. What are your thoughts about, coming into this conference, with all the talent and all the, really good teams that are in it? Do you, is that something that you're excited about taking on the challenge and facing?
Absolutely, man. I mean, I think it's obviously one of the top leagues in the state, and there's a ton of good coaches and good football teams in our league. That's what makes Mallard Creek one of the things that makes it so attractive. I don't pay as much attention to that as sometimes as I should. My top focus goes towards my team and our kids and making sure they're ready to roll and preparing to be the best they can be. So that's where most of my focus has been, man. But I'm well aware of how good our league is.
Absolutely. We just went through, some of our predictions for the league, and obviously last year Advance finished third in the league and ended up winning the state title. So, that speaks to the depth of the league right there, in itself.
Right.
Well, who are some kids that have stood out to you so far in the preseason, part of practice right now, Coach?
Man, that's never a good question to ask me. We've got a ton of kids, man, great kids. AJ Davis Ingram is a returning receiver, has been phenomenal, man. Works hard, great kid. Caleb Washington played receiver, he plays quarterback, he plays defense. Monty as a person, his maturity, his stance on just Mallard Creek football, man. I mean, he loves it, and has been really great for the program the last few years. Man, we got Mike Works and Jair Smith. I always combine them together because they're always together. They play defense. Mike plays a little bit of receiver too. Good guys, man. Work hard, always working out, and trying to get better. Devron is a returning corner. Well, he played receiver last year, and we moved him to corner. He's had a good preseason and good camp. Then we got these young guys, Mojo and Jalen Bowden, knuckleheads. They've done well and worked hard. D-line, we got Braylon, and we got Demetrius Shaw, and then Jonathan Slaughter, who's one of our top returning players from last year that got to play amongst a ton of talent. And so he's been a really great leader for us. And Jaden Reeder's been a great leader. Makai Bigelow, man, dude that plays offense and defense and does what he's supposed to do. Great to talk to, man. Just does well. Harbison, phenomenal, versatile, does a number of different things. I mean, just an honor to get to coach some of these guys, right? And then Bryce Boyd and shoot, man, Jace Giss, Nick Furman. And then to top it off, Zay Brower's our quarterback. He's grown up in the community, grown up around Creek football, and he gets the chance to lead us, and he's been a phenomenal leader. I don't know, I can name JV players. We got a ton of great kids that we look forward to coaching all the time, man. PJ plays running back. Lampkin has been a specialist for us, and I think he's returned kicks in the past. Played receiver, and we've moved him to running back as well. And we got some kids that were young. They played JV last year, has moved up. So as far as personnel, we got plenty of it. And I just hate, man, picking like 3 guys, right? Because we know that's not what football is about. We got a number of great kids and great players, and if I get a chance to call them out, man, I'm gonna call them out.
Absolutely, man. That's a lot of talent you just named right there, man. That's awesome. Coming up, you coming after Coach Palmieri, obviously, he was the only coach in Mallard Creek history. Do you feel any pressure to live up, to the expectations of, previous Mallard Creek teams at all? Or, you just feel comfortable in coming in and just doing this your way and, let the chips fall as they may?
Man, I think, well, first, anytime you've taken up a program that has done well, the number one challenge is to improve it. And that has to be the goal, to try to make it better. So there's pressure of that challenge every day, because we want Mallard Creek to be the best that it can be. And I think that would be the case if I went anywhere. Obviously, there's pros and cons of following up a really great coach like Palmieri. But ultimately, man, I get to follow and see what a really good football coach did to be successful, right? And then I get to mix some of his coaches and his thoughts with my coaches and my thoughts, right? And then we combine and hopefully put a really good product on the field. So it's not so much about Coach P as it is, man, the focus has to be that, hey, we got to have the best team that we possibly can. I got to do the best job that I can. And if you really think about it, man, that's enough pressure in itself when you're really, really pushing yourself to get the results that our team can possibly get.
Absolutely. That's well said, man. Good stuff. Talk about your coaching philosophy. I know we kind of talked previously about this, but some people may not know your style of coaching. So just overall, your philosophy as a head football coach.
It's a good question, Matt. I mean, I've always felt like, man, Coach Boyd said this. He's our defensive coordinator. A lot of times, coaches' experiences, right? And so, man, I'm a former linebacker and fullback, and I think it's really, really important to have a really tough physical football team that is balanced, but ultimately playing to the personnel that it has and to high percentage plays. So we look at, what are high percentage things that our kids can do, and then how can we run that and make it look differently. So philosophically, that's always been our philosophy is to waste coaches' time. You know what I mean? When you play us, you're gonna get a picture, and you're gonna get 1,000 pictures, right? And we want you to, have to work really hard to prepare for Mallard Creek. And in that picture, we need to be physical and tough, and give the best effort that is ultimately unmatched. We don't ever want to be out effort as far as our style of play.
It's a great answer, man. Great answer. Looking forward to seeing you guys, on the field this season. Of course, you got the big game that's being featured everywhere now. I think it's been game of the week at about 5 different places. Next week against Vance. Last question, Coach. I saw your AD, Quante Spate, put out a cool thing for away games where cars can come in and park and, see you guys playing on the big screen because of the 100 fan rule situation. What's your thoughts on this whole 100 fans thing? Does it bother you? Do you think there should be more that are able to watch you guys play, or is it just something that, you let other people worry about?
Well, man, my parents are my family, right? And so any concern they have becomes my concern, whether sometimes if I think it's important or not. But I would say here's the deal. I said this, talking to someone else. It's easy to sit here and go, hey, man, we should be doing it this way or that way, because I don't have to think about the entire state. Here's what I understand. They make a rule. It's got to cover every high school in the state of North Carolina. There's a lot of 1A schools that barely could fit 100 people. They might have bleachers on one side of the field. So they're essentially making a rule that covers the entire state. And I get that. Now, is that fair? I'd say no. I think you can socially distance 200. What made the number be at 100? Heck, especially in our stadium, right? But I also understand the difficulty of making the decision that everybody has to follow, and that's safe for everybody. And so when we see that rule, we got to consider those like that. Every school is not like the schools that are in Charlotte or some of our major counties. There's some schools that are extremely small, the 1A schools, and they had to make a rule for them. I think what would be neater is like if you looked at the capacity maybe. So you said, hey, whatever the capacity of your bleachers or your seats, you need to hit, 3% of that or 4 or 5%, whatever their number was that allowed them to come up with 100. And then maybe even map out the seats. You know, I mean, I'm sure we wouldn't mind all the parents to get into the game. You know what I mean? But we're scrapping for tickets, man, and we got seniors that'll never play again, and they're getting, I don't know, 1 or 2 tickets. I don't know. I mean, is that fair? That's tough. But man, what do I know, bro?
Yeah, man, it's tough for everyone, and there's been the big petition going around with 30-something thousand signatures, and supposedly they're going to look at it. So hopefully they can find a solution and find a happy medium for everybody. But
sure, I mean, I think making it based off of the school stadium size kind of makes sense. I mean, that's what they did with college football and some NFL. I mean, if you can sit 10,000, having a little bit more than 100 is okay. When we get to the state championship, are they gonna say only 100 people in the state championship facility? I doubt it. But we'll see.
Yeah, I doubt it too, because all of a sudden that money goes to the state association. So I think they'll find a way to make that work. Just some sort of way. I'm sure that'll happen.
That's right. That's right.
Coach, man, appreciate the time tonight. We wish you the best of luck next week, and of course, throughout the season, and of course, we'll see you out there, real soon, man.
All right, bro. Hey, man, appreciate what you're doing for Charlotte, man. It's pretty neat to be a part of it and see, especially what you do for the kids, man, and just trying to give them some light and give parents something to come and look forward to and talk about and hear you guys. Talk junk, man, is great. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Just know we appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach. And appreciate it. I think I made some people mad on these predictions, and I got to address that. So,
hey, it's okay, man. That's all right. That's why you get paid the big bucks, baby. You can handle it.
I wish I did. Thank you, Coach, man. Appreciate it once again.
All right, bro. Have a good one.
All right, you too, man. All right, so that was Mallard Creek head coach Kenny Tinsley joining us. Really good guy to talk to, as you can see. They've got the big game, featured week 1 against Vance. It's going to be featured as the game of the week for this new initiative that just got announced yesterday. National Amateur Sports is part of it, along with another group. They're going to be streaming a game of the week with live broadcast and graphics and all those cool things. And, Vance Mallard Creek is the first game. And, I mean, you can't really, think of a better game than that to kick off, football finally. Well, I've got 2 guys here now, so I'm going to bring them on. And I want to talk about a couple things here. How you doing, guys?
What's up, guys? Sorry, I had to make some money tonight. Not a lot, just a little bit. I get gas.
That's understandable. That's good. Brandon, how are you, sir?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Another great evening to talk.
Absolutely.
I ain't made no money tonight, though. I can't but I hadn't lost any either, so that's a plus.
Hey, that's coming out ahead these days, man. I tell you. Yeah. Kenny with the big 22 shirt on, man. I hear you. That's good stuff, man. Nice. All right, so I want to put my predictions back up on the screen. I want to get you guys, quick opinion on those because I've got, a couple of comments that I think people want to fight me. So. So we had Vance, number 1, Mallard Creek 2, Huff 3, Lake Norman 4, Mooresville 5, West Charlotte 6, Hopewell 7, and North Meck 8. So
boy, you got Twitter fire right now, Pep.
Is it? Oh Lord, I didn't even look.
I'm sure it's got to be.
Oh, so all right, Kenny, what's your thoughts on that? I'll start with you.
Vance is the champ right now. I mean, they're the champs. They're the man until somebody knocks them down. Obviously, These top three schools have lost a lot of guys to early graduation last month. So it'll be interesting to see how they adapt to that. There are going to be guys stepping up who maybe in the fall would not have been getting as much playing time, but Vance is the team to beat right now. They're rightfully number one. They still have a heck of a lot of talent coming back. Mallard Creek, is a big question mark. Brand new coaching staff, of course. Coach Tinsley was just on here, but how will they respond to P not being there? How will they respond to Vance win the championship last week? How will they respond to having to play Vance week one? And then, of course, there's nobody who's smiling more about these rankings than Coach Jenkins at Huff, because I can already tell you what his little 5'5" self is going to be saying in practice tomorrow. Y'all see what Pepe said on his show? He's got us ranked third. Ah! And he's going to be going crazy. His little veins will be popping out of his neck, and his fists are going to be clenched. I guarantee you, man, those guys are going to be fired up on Bailey Road tomorrow. We've got 95 Division I players. That doesn't count the 15 that we graduated last month. I mean, they're going to be fired up, and I think, the thing is, Lake Norman and Pep, you've talked about this. Lake Norman had a heck of a JV football team last year. They've been lifting. They've been lifting since June. Vance hasn't been in the weight room. Valley Creek hasn't been in the weight room. Huff hasn't been in the weight room. But Lake Norman's been getting after it. Mooresville, you'll be interested to see what Coach Nixon does. Is his style of football going to carry over into the I-Meck? Brand new coaching staff there. How are those guys buying into him? But they've been lifting as well. They've been lifting since at least August, and before that, West Charlotte. Man, I mean, you got the prodigal, man. Coach Schreiner has returned to Charlotte. He's got his dude, Coach Billups, over there with him. I mean, the hometown guy. Man, there should be a lot of excitement at West Charlotte. New school, new stadium being built. Hopewell and North Mac, I think that you're probably right there. I mean, Hopewell obviously took some steps forward last year. They still have a lot of steps to take. Unfortunately for them, they play in the I-Meck. Unfortunately for them, there's not an off week. There's no week that you can take a week off. You can have a couple guys get sick or get injured or be quarantined. But all of this is dependent on, all it takes is for one kid to go with his parents to his cousin's house down in South Carolina and come to find out his cousin has COVID, come to find out he gets tested and he's got antibodies. So now he's got a quarantine, and now his entire room, the quarterback room, the wide receiver room, the defensive room, has to quarantine now for 2 weeks, and they have a shot at playing, man. I mean, let's be realistic. Mallard Creek, Vance, and Huff, they're good football. But so is Lake Norman and Mooresville. And if Mallard Creek starting defense has to sit out for 2 weeks because they're in quarantine, Lake Norman and Mooresville can beat them. And the same is true for Huff. The same is true for Vance. So that's going to be the interesting part. How do teams adapt to this? Schools, Charlotte, not as big of an issue with guys playing football right now, but there are 1A and 2A schools whose entire football team is still in basketball season right now. 3A schools are dealing with that, not as much, but probably more than 4A schools. But I think, Pep, you're pretty close to it. I mean, I would be surprised if it's not Huff and Vance challenging for the conference championship. And if we're being honest with you, it's probably Huff and whoever wins week one, Vance versus Mallard Creek, playing for the conference championship.
All right. Good deal, man. Excellent. Producer Brandon, what's your thoughts here?
Well, I'm going to start at the top. I think Vance is rightfully deserving of where they are. I think Ric Flair used to say it best. You want to beat a man, you got to beat the man, right? So if Mallard Creek's not too thrilled about that number 2 spot, they know exactly what they have to do to move up that 1 spot so they can talk with their pads next Friday and easily overtake them. So, but like you say, until they go down, Vance has that belt on their shoulder, rightfully so. We already know about Huff. They've consistently loaded with talent. I think, on paper, I think they're right where they should be. Lake Norman, strong senior class. We know how far the senior leadership goes a long way. Mooresville's going to catch, like Kenny said, all it takes is a few cases. Mooresville can catch some people by surprise. And unfortunately, COVID's like that X factor. It's almost not a if. I hate to say it, but it's almost a when. It's going to affect some game this year. Is going to be affected by COVID. I mean, the likelihood of that happening is pretty significant, unfortunately. So that's where these other teams can, potentially make a run for it. And then, West Charlotte, you got state championship winning Sam Griner. That's even aside from the talent on the field, that's just an asset in itself right there, just to have a coach like that. And then they have also, world-renowned DB coach Brandon Billups on the staff. So that's
coach of linebackers now.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll call him world-renowned defensive coach Brandon
That's right.
Billups.
There it is.
Just having him in general, that's gonna be a big boost right there. And hope Illinois Meck, they can just look at this and use that as motivation. But it's a strong group here, and it can really. There's going to be some movement after the first couple of weeks for sure. So we'll see how it goes. But I don't think you can really argue on paper where everyone is right now.
Yeah, and the last thing you said there about being at the bottom is motivation. And I've said this before. When we've done predictions, is number one, we don't know everything.
Close to it, but not quite. Close. Not quite everything.
In the long ago in the past life, I used to eat crow when I was wrong about things. So if I'm wrong about anything on this list, I'll gladly go to the school that I'm wrong about, and I'll eat crow on camera in front of you. We'll film it. Hell, we might even do it live. And that way you guys can clown me while I'm eating some good chicken. So best of both worlds, right?
Well-seasoned crow. Yep.
Pep, there's one way to change people's minds. Freaking win. Period. Yep. Win. If you win, people view you differently. If you don't like being ranked at the bottom,
do something about it.
It's been a long time since the last football game was played. These dudes have had 450, 470 days. You know what? We're going to find out who's been working hard and who hasn't been working hard.
Absolutely. I'm going to address a comment here real quick.
My dog! Come on! What's up, big dog? Man.
Why Central Bears get slept on a lot? We up there with MC. I'm assuming that's Mallard Creek. Well, Taiwan, we did the Cabarrus County Conference, South Piedmont 3A, a couple weeks back. So that's how we're kind of doing it. So, we don't have a chance to rank Central Cabarrus against, these guys right now. But, your former coach right here had a lot of good things to say about the Vikings. So go back in the archives, check that out. And, then, you shoot us a message about that. But I think you guys are going to be good this year. I think you guys are going to be good. Keith Booker, Vance is definitely number one. Mallard Creek left them off the hook last season. Love those guys. Mallard Creek exactly who they have always been. Strong, fast, physical, athletic, and smarter this year. Mallard Creek is still the cream of the crop. All right. Well, hey, week one. We're going to see. Mallard Creek's got a great chance to show that they are still, on that level. And Vance has the chance to validate their program, a little more this season, coming off the championship season last year. While we wait for Coach McRae from Johnson C. Smith to come on, let's jump to another topic we kind of wanted to touch on here. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen here because we want to talk about this. And that is the practice and game protocols in COVID. And when Coach Tinsley was on a few minutes ago, you heard him describing, some of the things that they have to do. And the things that just don't come natural, He mentioned that having to keep the 6 feet of distance at practice. He mentioned that's a struggle with kids getting mental reps, when they're watching a play, when they sub in and do they know what to do? Have they been paying attention? Kids going in, putting their mouthpiece in and not putting their mask on with their mouthpiece. Coach Tinsley wanting to get the attention of the team by yelling across the field to get his point across. He doesn't have his mask on, so he's got to put the mask on and then try to yell and, all those things, man. It's really difficult. Kenny, what have you heard about, some of the challenges, with these practice and game protocols so far?
Yeah, obviously Coach Tinsley is right on it. Taiwan, who just made the comment, he played tight end for me at Central a couple years ago. He would tell you, I would tell my coaches, hey, know when to chew a kid out, but know when to put your arm around him again. And if you chew a kid out in practice, make sure before practice ends that you find something positive to say about that kid. And if you chewed him out bad enough, you better put your arm around that joker when you're walking off the field. And that's the problem right now. Right now, because of 6 feet protocols, you can't walk up and put your arm around it. You can't look at your quarterback and say, man, that was a bad decision that you made, but hey, let's get back after. I mean, one of my favorite pictures, me and a linebacker we had, Akeem Simmons, somebody grabbed a picture of me. He came off the field, and I've got my arms wrapped around him, and his arms are wrapped around me, and we're looking at each other, and we're talking. It was a beautiful picture, but you can't do that anymore. And that's tough as a coach. And Coach mentioned, I mean, it used to be, hey, if you're the backup quarterback, get behind the quarterback, go through all of your steps, go through all of your hand work, all that kind of stuff, but you can't do it anymore. There's more space that has to be used, where wide receivers during one-on-ones would kind of huddle up and the corners would kind of huddle up. Now they can't do that. You can't do that. And so you need more real estate to do it. You have to project your voice more. Coaches are having to get used to pulling their mask down, pulling their mask up, pulling their mask down to blow the whistle, pulling their mask up when they're not blowing a whistle. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I couldn't imagine what they're going through right now. I mean, Coach Tinsley said it himself. I've got to get better at pulling my mask up and remember to pulling it down. Kids putting their mouthpiece in because they've done that since they were 5 years old, but forgetting to pull their mask up and playing and just all that mess. I mean, even just I was leaving school today, and a parent of a player who I coached who played in 2 state championships games, whose youngest son is a freshman at West. She stopped me, walked through the parking lot, and she said, hey, my son, he freaks out because he's so afraid of being late. We leave our house at 1 o'clock. Now, she lives 20 minutes from the school. That means he's getting to the school at like 1:20. Their practice doesn't start before 2:30. I said, well, why is he getting there so early? He can't go into the locker room. She said, no, he waits outside until the rest of the team gets there. You know, groups of 10 or whatever it is, they're allowed to get in. I mean, it's just a strange time. You know, Coach mentioned it, 15 to 20 minutes to do temperature checks and to check guys in. It's an odd time. I imagine that coaches are divvying up those roles where wide receivers coach, you take your guys, and DBs coach, you take your guys, and linebackers coach, you take your guys. But the problem with that is there are basic logistical problems that you have at the start of every practice. Some knucklehead forgot his belt, or some knucklehead's JV kids' knee pads got lost, or somebody's jersey's not in their locker. Those are basic things you have to figure out. Or the AD comes down the field house, or the principal calls you into a last-minute meeting, or some irate parent shows up. And because there's so much extra stuff going on right now, you've got to monitor kids in the varsity locker room, monitor kids in the JV locker room, monitor kids who are outside. It's tough. I mean, I've been talking to coaches. Every coach I've talked to for the last week and a half, coaches who have turf fields, life is not so bad for them. But coaches who do not have a turf field, I had a coach tell me yesterday that the wide receivers have been running routes in the hallway of the school. Now, hitch, comeback, curl, maybe. I don't know how you run a slant or a post or a corner route in the hallway, but I mean, this is crazy stuff they're having to deal with on top of the COVID regulations.
I can't imagine, Brandon, you know how Harding's set up. All right, think about this. We in A building on the second floor trying to run a post route.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that, man, and I'm literally trying to visualize that as he was saying it. I was like, man, I'm trying to picture someone literally run a post.
Yeah. I mean, but this is what we've talked about. Those practice fields are in bad shape. It's cold. The Bermuda grass is dormant right now. And I mean, I saw a video that Vance put out yesterday, and they're doing a one-on-one tackling drill, and they're just covered head to toe in mud. I mean, it looks like Vance's game field when they made that Mud Boys run. You know, like, I mean, and that's never going to recover. It's going to stay that way through the springtime. It's going to stay that way through the summertime. It's ruined until next year, you know, the next season, the 2023 season. But, you know, this is what schools are doing. West Cabarrus, I think every school in the county is trying to go to West Cabarrus, or trying to go to A.L. Brown, or trying to go to Central Cabarrus to practice. Coaches are practicing, you know, at 7 o'clock at night at another school just so they can get a little bit of turf time. The number of footballs that are being ruined, And once again, that has nothing to do with COVID, man. Last year, I paid $79.50 for every single football that I bought. I bought 16 of them a year. That's a lot of money when you start ruining leather footballs in the muddy practice fields.
Good gracious. That's a lot, man. I see a couple comments here. First of all, Mr. Mason, for you, Coach.
My God.
Yes, he was a great coach when I was there. Much love to Coach. Ah, there you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. Miss Burlos, one of our regular watchers. So many of our practices have been in the parking lot. Yeah, I saw a picture from South Meck the other day of practicing in the parking lot. I mean,
that's pretty
it's
scary,
insane,
man. Because you can't go full speed. You can't.
No.
You got to go half speed
Right.
at most. So it's like that's scary in itself. You're not going to run hard when you think about worry about falling. You can, getting hurt, twisting ankles. Getting
gravel,
your knees. Yes. That's scary in itself. I don't know. I think I'd rather take my chances with the COVID than falling down on pavement.
God, nutty. And then our buddy Cowboy Joe. Cowboy Joe. What's up, man? Boys soccer, football, girls soccer, discus, shot put. God help the turf. Oh, good Lord.
And, and here's the thing, and you guys know this. Joe knows this. There are high school fields who also share their field with the middle school. So take, for example, at East Rowan High School, they not only have soccer going on, varsity football going on, JV football going on, 8th grade football going on, 7th grade football going on. They've got all those sports plus track going on, plus middle school track going on, plus girls soccer is getting ready to start. I mean, he's right, man. These fields are just going to get abused. I think a lot of athletic directors who had the resources planted ryegrass back in the fall time, kind of anticipating this, kind of hoping to save this. But that brand new ryegrass ain't going to last very long. I mean, it's just not. These fields are going to have it rough, and they're not going to recover anytime soon.
Yeah, I tell you, Harding, I saw, a couple of pictures from them. They're practicing in the gym, for an example. So, I mean, and this weather is not helping either. I mean, we're just in this crazy rainy season right now. And if you got turf, man, you got an advantage.
Huge advantage.
I mean, let's think about this. Morrisville, they have turf, and they've been able to practice. Huge advantage.
And been able to lift weights since July.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage. I mean, even Lake Norman has grass. They don't even have turf up there. So, I mean, hey, everyone's got it's kind of like a sliding scale of advantages and disadvantages here.
Pep, not every school has an auxiliary gym. I mean, how many schools in Charlotte don't have that second auxiliary gym? It's basketball season right now, man. These guys are preparing for the playoffs. You can't kick the basketball team out. It's their season. And so football teams are having to practice later and later, having to come back, and that just only increases other potential problems and risk. I mean, it's a wild time right now, but, kudos to these coaches, man. These coaches are being creative in what they're doing and getting their schedules out there. They're making the most out of the time that they have. Kudos to the parents, because I've talked to parents, hey, what does practice look like next week? I do driver's ed. That's where I was tonight. Hey, what does your practice look like next week? We don't know yet. We find out on Friday what practice looks like next week. And then it changes so much because of weather conditions and other things going on. So kudos to the coaches, the players, and the parents to making this work, man. You guys deserve this season.
Absolutely. All right, guys, hang on 1 second. I think we might have Coach McRae. Let's see if we got him. If we do, we'll go to him. If not, we'll try to figure out the little technical issue here. So we'll be right back. All right, let's see if we've got Coach McRae from Johnson C. Smith ready to go here. And I'm gonna bring him on and see if he can, hear us. Let me get that banner off the screen. All right, let's see.
Can y'all hear me?
We do hear you, Coach. We don't see you, but that's okay. You sound good.
Oh yeah, man. I'm in the truck, man. So please excuse me, man.
No, that's okay. Yes, sir. How you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing all right, man. Can't complain. Staying safe and trying to finish up this recruiting, man. But other than that, everything's good. Good deal, man. Good deal.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about you guys at Johnson C. Smith. And, you guys have had a strong focus in recruiting here in the Charlotte metro area. How important has that been to you guys to kind of secure, some of the top talent here in Charlotte?
You know, for the most part, some kids want to stay in Charlotte and some don't. But the ones that do, are big contributors to our program. Of course, we had Emmanuel Wilson, man, who was the Rookie of the Year. Jamonte Gray from North Meck, he's been a 2-year starter. Jaleel Johnson, who's a DB at Mooresville, who I still look at that as Charlotte. So
absolutely.
Then we just signed 2 kids from West Meck. So the thing is to build a foundation here in Charlotte to get as many Charlotte kids as we can, and then just build around them and just build a successful program.
Absolutely. What can you talk about those 2 kids you signed from West Meck? I believe it was JT McDonald and Joshua McGill.
And listen, those 2 guys right there are going to be 2 young men that's going to help this program. We was young last year, especially at the linebacker position. So we felt like even right now they're going to make an immediate impact as freshmen. Like I told them, the biggest thing to do right now is just remain healthy, finish strong in the classroom, and everything else will take care of itself. But those 2 guys right there, man, are 2 diamonds in the rough.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. I was going to say that about those guys because, JT, he was the one that really wants to be great, man. And he's got the size. And, one of the things I said about him was once he gets into a college program and he, just learns the game a little more and puts on some weight, he's going to be special, McGill was all conference last year. So, I do 2 good ones right there, Coach.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that, man. And, I just feel bad for some of the kids in the 2021 class, man. COVID has not only impacted, high school, but, college. Our kids ain't played since last year. And so it just,
right.
I'm itching to get back out there to smell the grass and blow my whistle, man. But it's crazy, man. And like I tell the kids and the parents, all you can do is control what you can control. That COVID ain't got no name on it. So, being safe and healthy, man, is more important right now than playing the game of football. And our kids understand that. And, right now we just, continue recruiting. Kids are still doing virtual learning and they're finishing up strong in the classroom. So that's all we can really do right now.
Exactly. So you mentioned the 2021 class with the situation being so crazy here in North Carolina. Right. What kind of recruiting tips can you give for those guys in particular to be seen by coaches such as yourself?
I mean, put some great film together. Put something that's going to stand out. In that first 30 seconds or to a minute, if I'm watching the film, I should see something that stands out to me. Something that stands out where I go show the head coach or I show the DC or even the special team coordinator. I know CMS is about to play. So, get some good film in these last 7 games, man, because at the snap of the finger, man, it can be done. You know what I'm saying? Just because of COVID. But based on what programs need would determine how guys are offered, if that makes sense. NCAA granting guys a year waiver. So you got some guys coming back. So it's just kind of like it's tough and it's just not D2, man. It's across the board. D1, D3, NAIA. It's tough, man. Even the JUCOs.
Right. Yeah, and it's really hard right now in a lot of different ways, Coach. You mentioned some of the things that your guys are dealing with right now because you didn't have a season. What has COVID-19 done to your program? How has it changed the way you prepare for your upcoming season, and how are your guys handling it?
Man, some for the most part is handling it pretty good. In the beginning, they really didn't understand about COVID. I don't think nobody really did. But they think about it when something has happened to a significant other, or family. We have a good plan for them. They understand what's at hand, and they know the biggest thing right now is continue to do what you do in the classroom. Our president, man, has been great in this process, man, of making sure our kids and even the faculty, safe. and that's the biggest thing that we're looking at right now is safety. But for the most part, everything has been good. Our kids are in good spirit. Of course, everybody wants to play the game of football. We want to coach the game of football, but it's just a hard time right now. But you can only control what you can control.
Exactly. Good point, Coach. My last question for you, Coach. I know you coach offensive line over at Smith, and you're recruiting coordinator and those different things. Overall, what's your coaching philosophy for guys that you are looking to bring into your program, not only as offensive linemen, just as Golden Bulls in general? What are you really looking for?
I want good, high character guys that got that real high IQ of the game. When I say a high IQ of the game, I want winners. We want guys that know what it takes to win, and we want guys that come in and make our program better than it was the year before or the year before that. We try to, I always tell coaches, even when I go to like these big programs, I want the same thing Carolina want. I want the same thing Alabama want. Allow that kid to tell me no. If that kid tell me no and he got a D1 offer, then hey, I'm never gonna tell a kid he can't go D1. But I'm gonna recruit the same high character kids at these D1 schools, the other Division II schools. We're gonna try to get the best player to make our program better than it was before.
Excellent. Good stuff, man. Coach, I appreciate taking a little bit of time out of your busy schedule tonight to talk with us, and we appreciate it, and we wish you guys the best of luck as we keep fighting this COVID-19 virus, man.
Oh man, I appreciate y'all for having me, man.
Absolutely, thank you, Coach.
All right, y'all be blessed.
All right, you too. Thanks a lot. All right, so that was Johnson C. Smith, recruiting coordinator and offensive line coach, Montaze McRae, joining us on the show. I'm going to bring the guys back right now, and we're going to move on to our next topic. And that is, you know what we get to do? It's going to be a short one, but we're at that time. Slime time. Let's go.
Here it is, guys. You know what it is? It's time. Every single week, we look at what's going on in America. We look at what's going on in the state. We look at what's going on here locally, and we pick someone who, if we could go back in time to our favorite Nickelodeon show, we would dump a whole bucket of slime. So, Pep, we're going to come to you first this week, man. Who the heck are you sliming this week?
It's not a who necessarily. It's a what. And what I'm sliming this week is snow tubing. Snow tubing, number one, is not made for men of my stature. Okay? I was thinking, we went and did this on, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, up in the mountains, up near Boone. So I'm thinking that, they got these big blue tubes, you get in, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, this can't be one size fits all, but apparently it is. So I squeeze into this big blue tube, and, I had to go by myself, because, the tube is not really made for more than one person, of my size. So the guy at the top of the hill has to push me a little bit to get me going. So then I get going, I'm sliding and I'm spinning all around, and, big men ain't supposed to be moving around like this. So I'm nervous. It's been a long time since I've been, in this kind of place where I can't control myself. So then I'm getting towards the bottom, and they got this one random dude standing in the middle of the hill talking about, stop with your feet. Stop with your feet. And my feet are perpendicular like this in the air. I can't stop with my feet like that. And again, I was not told this from the start, okay? This was not proper procedure in being safe. So, long story short, I hit the sandbags at 30 miles an hour, and everybody goes, woo. That ain't good, man. That ain't good. Like, I put it on Facebook and I said, it's like getting hit as a defensive tackle on a blindside inside trap and getting knocked out and looking up at those lights. That's how I felt. It took me a minute to get up, and I finally managed to get over to the conveyor belt. I went to the top of the hill. I promptly put my inner tube back right where I got it from, and I said, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. It is not made for men of my stature. Snow tubing, you're slimed. Never again.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, Pep, my wife has been begging me to take the boys to go snow tubing, and I was getting ready to ask you how that went. So there you go.
Hey, man, thank you on the comments, and y'all laughing at me. That's all right. That's all right, Miss Moulton and Mr. Moss. That's all right. That's all right, man.
I love it.
Y'all go do it and tell me about y'all's experience. I'm sorry, Kenny. I'm sorry.
Producer Brandon, who you sliming this week?
I would really like to see some surface, some footage surface of that snowboarding.
Doesn't exist. It does not exist. It never will.
Oh man, but so I'm gonna have to start. This is gonna be a large group of people, so I might have to like walk around with like a slime gun or a slime cannon, or maybe put some slime in like an old school super soaker, maybe just so I can walk around shooting people with the slime. But and I mentioned this to Pat Man before, but I always see it when I do have to go out somewhere. We're gonna slime everyone that puts on a mask, but then puts the mask under their nose or tucks the mask under their chin. Just take it off. Like, why have it on? It's like you literally have the mask on, but it's under your chin, tucked under your chin or under your face the whole time. So it's like you really look crazy with it on. It's like, why even have it on? Just have it off. Just don't come in the store or don't go out with it. So it just looks crazy. It's really defeating the purpose. And since your face is uncovered, that's the perfect opportunity to shoot some slime right on your face. Since you want to wear the mask and you don't want to cover up. It just looks dumb, man. So I'm sliming all of those people everywhere I go. I'm going to walk around with a slime cannon and just shoot them.
I like the slime cannon. I like that. We need to get one of those. We need that.
I'll look on slimer.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I'm gonna go back to, I mentioned this earlier on social media a week or so ago. I'm gonna go back to these knucklehead bozos who are on my radio every single morning on the way into work and every single afternoon from 610 WFNZ. So once again, this morning I'm going into work and these complete knuckleheads are talking about what they would trade to get Deshaun Watson to the Carolina Panthers. And these fools once again said they are willing to trade 1, 2, 3 first-round picks plus Christian McCaffrey plus other potential players to get Deshaun Watson. And then these guys, so I guess somebody like accidentally leaked that this was a real story yesterday on Twitter and apparently made national headlines. And they said, yeah, I can't believe it. The whole country thought it was the most idiotic idea ever. And I'm shaking my head like I'm about to get into a wreck. Like, yeah, it is because y'all are morons. And then he goes, but I believe it's the greatest deal ever. 3 first-round picks plus Christian McCaffrey for Deshaun Watson. And then on the way home tonight, this is what I hear. I hear in order to get Deshaun Watson, they said there are only 4 teams in the NFL. Only 4 teams in the NFL that if Deshaun Watson was on their team next year, they wouldn't be guaranteed to play in the Super Bowl. The Chicago Bears, the Minnesota Vikings, ironically, the Carolina Panthers, some other team. And I started thinking to myself, well, I could think of another freaking team that ain't playing the Super Bowl next year, and that's the freaking Houston Texans because they won, 3, 4 football games this past year? Can somebody please remind me how many playoff games Deshaun Watson has won in his career? I ain't throwing shade. I ain't talking junk. I'm just saying if you're willing to give up 3 first-rounders and Christian McCaffrey, an NFL MVP caliber player for a guy who has never won a playoff game, I don't care how good he is. He's sticking good. Don't get me wrong. It'd make us better. We might get the Super Bowl with him, but not for 3 first-round picks and for Christian McCaffrey. So WFNZ, you guys have been slimed.
You know, I'm gonna share that with them too. You know, and I heard those same comments, man. And you know, I would love Deshaun Watson here, but
100%.
at that cost, yeah, at that cost, you just got to kind of wonder a little bit, you know, just a little bit. I mean, I know he signed long term and all that, but
That's like selling your
I don't
soul
know.
to the devil to give up 3 firsts plus Christian McCaffrey. You know, maybe 2 and a Shaq Thompson or something, but not Christian McCaffrey. Man. No, I
There's
mean
2 players for the Panthers that they need to make sure they stick around. One of them is Christian McCaffrey, and the other one is Jeremy Chin. Don't let those dudes go anywhere.
Oh, no.
They're the heart and soul of the team.
I like to keep Brian Burns too because I think he's about to turn into a freaking beast.
That's true too.
Jermaine Moss is saying no, trade up for Fields or Lance. You know, I really like Fields. I really do. I think he's being overlooked. I think he's fallen to that Ohio State quarterback kind of thing where he's being, you know, kind of misclassified a bit. But Lance, I know me and Brandon were talking about this. You know, we're worried about Lance because he hadn't played much. You know, he played, 1 game last year?
and 1 season before that. So he's only played about,
13,
17 college games?
like that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know about that.
And not against the best competition either.
Right. Karen Belk saying for sure keep Burns and Chin. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Of
course, these are the same knuckleheads who said let Curtis Samuel go. To me, Curtis Samuel was the best offensive player for the Carolina Panthers this year. He can literally play 5 different positions on offense. And they're saying, just let that joker walk out the door. Get out of here, man. They'll let anybody on the radio.
That being said, we appreciate everybody watching tonight. Game of the week. We're looking for one week 1. We got the post out on Twitter. We got it out on Instagram and Facebook. I've seen some of your comments already. We're taking all that into consideration. We will be at multiple games most likely. So even if I'm not at that game, we could be at another game. We've got a few correspondents that, you know, will be out and checking out games. So let your voice be heard, man. We'll announce it next week. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great week. Next week, different format. A lot of exciting changes for Football Focus Weekly with football now here. You're really going to get some football inside talk. So thanks for sticking with us. See you. Have a great week, guys.